unasikia jidishi unaanza boss hamna ingine simtafute matusi pia. Kama watu ambao tunajua sheria inatakiwa ukipelekwa, kwa sababu hii ni criminal conduct has to be specific and defined. Ukipelekwa kotini juu ya conflict of interest, magistrate anafaa kujua ni sheria gani anatumia, na ni moja. It has to be clear that this is the criminal conduct and this is the punishment for that conduct. So when you have pieces of legislation zenye zinaongelelea the same thing and they are scattered across several laws, what usually happens is you consolidate. Unatoa hizo provisions from all the other bills, munakuja na bill moja yenye na deal na nini? Conflict of interest. Zileta kwa bill moja.
Yeah.
Now, the conflict of interest bill ile tulipitisha Senate, it is still a crime for you to conduct yourself in a manner where there is conflict. It is still a crime. Okay. Punishable, Ali, by a jail term of 10 years.
So to be clear,
it is there.
It is a crime.
Yes.
To
conflict of interest is a
position
crime.
Yourself
to use information, for instance, that comes to you by virtue of your position, to enrich yourself, to award tenders to your friends if you are in a position of influencing that tender award. All of those things are criminal.
One mic here hapa Muturi alikuwa na question about iyo corruption, what EACC was actually saying compared to what you were talking about, the conflict of interest bill. Because ulikuwa umeingizwa shimoni pia wewe. Watu walikuwa wamesema ati huyu Senator Sifuna hapa anasema kitu moja hapa na kirudi kule Senate vote yake inaonyesha vingine. So there was that, there was what EACC was saying and there was your explanation. So maybe Mike just explain, like what your thoughts were or what you were thinking and what you wanted to ask about EACC versus the conflict of interest bill.
I think it was first trying to understand what the conflict of interest bill initially was, what it is.
Yeah.
Because what was circulating was this idea and a notion that the politicians are trying to pass bills or trying to pass laws where they can open and they can for lack of a better word flagrantly just collaborate with the government. So you can have, like maybe like a leave, you're a member of parliament, you can have your wife or your kids or your son or your whatever bid
doing business with the government.
It's ideally doing business with the government.
Okay.
And that was, and what was going on was that the Senate or the senator side, they're trying to enforce that. That's what EACC was coming about. So there was a time he was having a conversation on Spice and he was trying to explain what the Senate was actually doing vis-a-vis what EACC and how EACC was lying about it. Maybe he could touch upon that, because sometimes people just read short comments and then clips,
highlights, tosha,
and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you're forever castigated,
and then you're crucified.
Totally. But because
unajua it was a very interesting time. Unajua we are in an era where kwanza Kenya sahi watu wamejam 24/7 people are just angry and they need a place to direct that anger. And then there is an industry that is dedicated to hunting for outrage. What is this one thing we can say today to keep the anger going?
Yes.
Because I don't understand. It started with tuliambiwa ati tumejiongezea mishahara. You remember that story?
I remember that.
The people online wakapiga kelele, ndio hao hapa. Wakapiga kelele wanalia, sijui SIFUNA amejiongezea pesa. Ukabuza, okay, nimejiongezea pesa wapi? Hiyo kaisha. Wakakuja wakaanza hiyo mambo ya conflict of interest. Nitakupatia example 3. Bill 3 zenye watu walikuwa naongea kitu yenye haiko. The first one ilikuwa hiyo conflict of interest bill. Wakaamka wakasema, kina SIFUNA wamepitisha sheria inasema ati inaweza fanya biashara na serikali. Kabla uexplainie watu, wamekutusi, wamekuita umbwa. Kwanza umbwa ndio the best the favorite batusi siku hizi. Alafu kuna ingine sijui kama naweza sema on air. Kuna unasikia jidishi unaanza boss hamna ingine simtafute batusi pia. Sasa ya 3 walikuja wakasema ati tumepitisha sheria inasema ati watu watakuwa wanapiga kura ndani ya gari. Sijui kama unakumbuka hiyo story.
Walikuwa wanasema mobile, I think mobile polling stations.
Na unaona in all those 3 instances, alafu wakakuja juzi hii ya Ndengu wanasema ati Senate imepitisha sheria atukipanda ndengu unafungwa ama sijui unapigwa fine ya shilingi milioni 1. All of those instances Ali. There was nothing like that. There was nothing like that. So hii conflict of interest, wacha tuanzie hapo. Unajua conflict of interest kwanza iko defined kwa sheria zetu iko saizi as a law. Yeah? So what usually happens is there are almost 3 pieces of legislation zinaongelelea the same thing. 3 of them. Kuna Leadership and Integrity Act iko na section kuhusu conflict of interest. Kuna Public Officer Ethics Act iko na section ya conflict of interest. Ukiangalia the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Act yenyewe iko na section on conflict of interest. Now, kama watu ambao tunajua sheria, inatakiwa ukipelekwa, kwa sababu hii ni criminal conduct has to be specific and defined. Ukipelekwa kotini juu ya conflict of interest, magistrate anafaa kujua ni sheria gani anatumia. Na ni moja. It has to be clear that this is the criminal conduct and this is the punishment for that conduct. So when you have pieces of legislation zenye zinaongelelea the same thing and they are scattered across several laws, what usually happens is you consolidate. Unatoa hizo provisions from all the other bills, munakuja na bill moja yenye na deal na nini? Conflict of interest. Tumeelewana?
A consolidated bill.
One bill.
Okay.
So you will see in that bill, you will see wanasema delete section this of the Anti-Corruption and Ethics Act. That same section that is saying is talking about conflict of interest, then you see it in the new bill. Delete the one in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption, delete the one in the Public Officer Ethics Act, munazileta kwa bill moja. Now, the conflict of interest bill ile tulipitisha Senate, it is still a crime for you to conduct yourself in a manner where there is conflict. It is still a crime. Punishable, Ali, by a jail term of 10 years.
So to be clear,
it is there.
It is a crime
yes.
to
conflict of interest is
to
a
position
crime.
yourself
To use information, for instance, that comes to you by virtue of your position to enrich yourself, to award tenders to your friends if you are in a position of influencing that tender award. All of those things are criminal. They are defined as criminal in the bill itself.
But let's be clear here. But it's not a crime to do business with government as long as it's not
like you now.
No
if you have no conflict of interest, you can do business with government.
I'm talking about an elected official. For an elected official,
that's what I'm telling you. If there exists conflict, for instance, I am a senator, right? If the Senate is putting out a tender for purchase of pens, can I, in all honesty, get that tender or even apply for that tender?
No, you can't.
I cannot, because that information has come to me by virtue of the fact that I am a member of the Senate.
But then as a senator,
it is a crime.
But then as a senator, you can still do business with government.
As a Kenyan, you can do business with
other
any
areas.
Entity. Yes, well, for as long as there is no conflict of interest.
The reason why
the definitions of conflict are there. Unaona? They are there.
The reason why naulizai mzee wangu aliniambia back in the days, I think in the 70s, elected officials were actually not allowed to do business of any kind.
In fact, for me, I support that position. And if you look at the Azimio Manifesto of 2022, we had said, for as long as you are a member of Azimio, you will not do business with the Azimio government. It was there. So when did I change? I have not changed. That is the position of ODM. That is my position, even today. But for people to just wake up one day and start saying, wamepitisha. What we want to do with anger, I was in the university, I had a very good lecturer. He told me, anger is a good thing. Anger brings change. When people are angry, they are moved to action. But that anger has to be righteous anger, and it has to be informed anger. Don't get upset before you understand. Understand first, and then get upset. Then we can all do something together.
Sawa.